rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. That's right, I am here, and my name, as your host, is Rick. Excuse me. Oh, my goodness. So, apparently, a boat survived. Yeah, in my Whiskey Warrior P1s, a bunch of wind came through and like blew a bunch of pine needles and a branch or two onto a boat, and a boat survived. Congratulations. I don't know. If you want to get in on the know, okay, if you want to really get in on the know, you have got to sign up for Rumble and then sign in to Rumble and get involved in the chat. That's how you'll get in the know. I'm just saying. Go do it now. Go to rumble.com. Get yourself an account. It is free. And while you are there, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. No, I'm sorry. Anyway, that isn't the headline sponsor, though. I'm just going to tell you. All right, tonight we have 3 Chevy up for the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you are of mine, please stand, remove your hat. If you're wearing one, like me, place your hand over your heart and follow along with 3 Chevy as he recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. And I thank you, 3 Chevy, from the bottom of my heart for giving us that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself performing the pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file that you create, and send it off to me. Send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online, and I will get you into the rotation. Oh my gosh, I've got a real bad tickle in my throat. Ugh. Anyway, yes, so go ahead and do that for that. I'm looking for number 21. Number 21. And of course, once I get 21, then I'll be looking for 22 because I like even numbers. So maybe 21 and 22 can come in at about the same time, and I'll end up having to flip a coin to figure out which one it was. Anyway, send that off to. And by the way, if you're doing it on your phone, apparently you can share it to fans at AmericanPerspective.online. And that'll do what it needs to be done as well. All right, let's get into tonight's, well, first let me try and clear this. I gotta try and clear that tickle in the throat because tonight's headline sponsor is the Institute on the Constitution. The Institute on the Constitution was established in... See, there it goes. Here we go again. Was established in 2004 as a 501c3 nonprofit with one singular mission, and that is to restore the constitutional republic through grassroots education. All courses and materials are developed using primary source documents and taught from the American view of law and government as defined in the Declaration of Independence in the following 3 key points. 1, there is a God. 2, our rights come from him. And 3, the purpose of civil government is to secure and protect our God-given rights. The IOTC offers the opportunity to educate yourself on our most precious founding document, the Constitution of the United States. They also provide tools to educate your community and get involved with local government. Start by taking their free U.S. Constitution course and go from there. Use my affiliate link, IOTC.AmericanPerspective.online to sign up, and while you are there, take a moment to look through their other course material and information. My affiliate link, once again, is IOTC.AmericanPerspective.online to get great content, to learn about our historical founding, and support the show in the process. That's IOTC.AmericanPerspective.online, or if you just want to purchase this fabulous Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution to support the show, go to constitution.americanperspective.online, and as 3 Chevy says, each book purchased will come with actual Roman numerals, placed in numerical order at no additional charge. Right here, we have 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather wrapped around pages that are water and tear resistant. No cheap glue here, folks. It is got stitching all the way through the leather and the pages contained within. It's got a 100-year warranty against materials and workmanship defects, such that if you have a problem, you can send it back to the manufacturer and they will either fix it or replace it for free. It is my buddy and everybody's buddy, Buddy Weiser. May he rest in peace. Tested and Buddy approved. It's Billy tasted, Billy approved, and my youngest whiskey warrior has confirmed that the information contained within will help you to study for and achieve your civics badge in scouting, as well as your civics exam. Yeah, so go to constitution.americanperspective.online and get yours today. I'm telling you, if you get it, you get multiples. Put them in the stockings of all your loved ones, regardless of their political affiliation. I guarantee you, the conservatives will love it. The Democrat, liberal leftist lunatics will try and destroy it, and you will get a laugh at them trying to destroy the book. Believe me, this thing is really, really tough. Go and get yours today at constitution.americanperspective.online. And also don't forget to check out the rest of the Institute on the Constitution's offerings, as they have a plethora of information. Yes, I worked in the word plethora. And I thank them for allowing me to be an affiliate. Okay. Whew. God, what a mess. I'm going to have to take another drink. Goodness. There we go. Hopefully that'll clean some of that up. Well, you know that you are losing the battle of the narrative when average, everyday people of your own party are saying the truth out loud. Well, that's what happened on this C-SPAN show. And, yeah. So, well, here, let me just let the call-in person, we'll just let the call-in person go ahead and tell you all about what they were saying. Here, we'll go ahead and let's take a listen to this real quick.
I'm, a retired federal worker, and I hear people talking about, the president needs to get involved, and the Democrats are saying this, the Republicans are saying this. This is the truth. The Democrats, and I'm a Democrat, are the ones that actually, in the Senate side, shut down the government. They did not vote for a continuing resolution except for 3 of them. One is the Senator of Pennsylvania, Fetterman, and all. So they have to get together and stop holding an American hostage. We're about to have people without food come, November 1st, which is the end of this week. And that's ridiculous. It is not worth it. Plus, the health care companies have already said you're way past the deadline for them to change their costs that they're going to give out to the public for the health care. So, because November 1st is open season. So they need to get together. I know they keep on saying the president needs to come back, but the power of the purse is with the Congress, not the president. You all talk about this president being the king, but if you want him to solve this problem, you're making him a king. This has got to stop in America. I want the Democrats to fight, but I want them to fight in a negotiating way like I did when I was a union president versus sitting up here constantly bickering and the Republicans bickering. This has got to stop, and America has got to stop accepting it. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
That's Lynn in Philly.
Yep. So there you go. I mean, she is spot on, like totally spot on. Couldn't get any more spot on her. For her. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's the whole point. It's the Democrat shutdown. It's the Democrats who are doing this. The Democrats who are holding everything hostage, which, by the way, the continuing resolution has money in it for SNAP. All they have to do is vote for the continuing resolution to fund the government until the 21st of November at current spending limits. Yeah, the clean CR that the Republicans have already passed through the House, and that all the Republicans, well, not Rand Paul, but most of the Republicans went ahead and voted for it in the Senate, and it's the Senate Democrats that are holding this up. So, yeah. Anyway. Yeah. All right. Well, Senate Democrats had another shot today at it. They did. They had another shot, and they blocked it once again for the 13th time. That's a total of 13 times they have refused to open up the government. I mean, again, as the minority whip Clark has said, we know people are going to get punished by this, but, that's the only leverage that we have. Yeah. It's the only leverage that we have. And they voted today to block the House-passed bill to reopen the federal government, despite even a plea from the nation's largest federal workers union, who is basically asking and begging, hey, you got to end this 28-day shutdown. Yep. So, once again, in this case, now it failed in a 54-45 vote. Only 3 members of the Democrat caucus advanced the bill, which was John Fetterman, Catherine Cortez Masto, and Angus King, who is an independent who caucuses with the Democrats. Yeah. So there you go. Once again. These people. I'm just telling you, seriously, these people are these Democrats. It's the Democrats. This is all about the Democrats. It's all about the Democrats. Well, if we have a problem to the point where, SNAP does run out, there's this piece in the Epic Times that talks about the states that lose the most if the federal food aid runs out. And you know what's ironic? Well, not really ironic. I hate using that word because it actually isn't really what a lot of people think the definition actually is. But what's interesting is the Democrats, several Senate Democrats, are sitting here saying that the president could use emergency funding to fund SNAP. Yeah, really? He could, but why would he? You morons, all you have to do is just sign on the continuing resolution, and it's done. Why do you want the president to utilize emergency funding like some states are doing, by the way? Why do you want the president to use emergency funding for this when this isn't really an emergency? If it was an emergency, then, maybe there would have been something that would block you morons from blocking the bill. But instead, you're just sitting here holding the government hostage and holding these people hostage, to sit there with the gun to their head. Yeah, that's basically what you're doing. And all they have to do is just pass the continuing resolution that does nothing other than fund the government at the existing levels. That's all it does, realistically. But no, they want to hold it hostage to get, illegals to get health care benefits, for, stations like PBS to get refunded, even though both of those are not in the Constitution at all as a responsibility of the federal government. Yeah. Anyway. So these are the states that are going to lose the most. They're going to lose the most out of all of this. So the well has run dry, according to the Department of Agriculture. It wrote on its website on October 27th. So more than 41 million Americans won't receive federal help buying groceries in November unless Congress reopens the government. So the USDA, which is the Department of Agriculture, oversees the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, which serves about 12% of the U.S. population. The government shutdown began October 1st, and we're now 28 days into it. But nearly all the Democrats have rejected the measure until the Republicans come to terms on come to terms. That's not coming to terms. They're basically capitulating to hostage taking. But anyway, so here's the states that receive the most funding. Okay. Now, SNAP funding totaled more than $7.8 billion in May of 2025. The last month, which, by the way, for which data is available. Nearly half of that $7.8 billion went to 7 large population states in the month of May. Anybody want to guess where the majority of those 7 are? Even before I read it? Here we go. Let me just show you. They're all in blue here, dark blue, in the map that I'm showing you right now. Yes. California, Illinois, New York, Pennsylvania, I believe it's Ohio, and only Florida and Texas. Yeah, those are the 7. Once again, California, Illinois, New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Florida, and Texas. Yeah. So, Now, keep in mind, those are also the more populous states in our country. Okay? I won't say the most populous, but they are the more populous states than in, all of these kinds of situations. Now, all of that being said, okay, here's the states with the highest rate of participation. Oh, I'll take a look at this. Oregon, Nevada, looks like New Mexico, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Illinois, Michigan, New York, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, West Virginia. Those are the ones with the highest percentage, meaning 15% or better in the dark blue, and it gets lighter as you go along. Sounds like a bunch of these things are, yeah. Anyway, these folks, I'm just telling you, it's kind of interesting how they're sitting here and they're attempting to try and cover up for the idea that these are Democrat states. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them are Democrat-run states that have, I don't know, let's say potentially illegal aliens on the program. Yeah. Yeah. So, all of this stuff, I'm just saying, folks, they're only hurting themselves by keeping this closed for the most part. I mean, why do you think Fetterman, Pennsylvania, hello, why do you think Fetterman is trying to get it back open? Because he's smart. But yet, these other Democrats, they keep trying to say that, oh, this isn't the Democrat shutdown. It's the president can do this. No, he can't, like that caller said. You're expecting him to bail you out? Give me a break. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Seriously, it just isn't. So that's okay. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, they can just keep it going. Yeah. So they just want to keep it going because, like, Catherine Clark said, that's our only amount of leverage that we have. So there you go. All right. Well, I hate to say it, but we might possibly have a new job for Scott Jennings. No, I'm not talking about Scott Jennings coming to the American Perspective program. No, that's not what I'm talking about. For those of you that don't know or don't recall me talking about this, CBS News hired, or well, actually bought Barry Weiss's Free Press for like $15 million or whatever it was, or $50 million. I don't know. She was bought. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it here, real quick. So anyway, it doesn't. Maybe it does. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, $150 million. Sorry. Wow, I was like 10 times off that. $150 million. They acquired, that was Paramount's Skydance division that acquired her Free Press Media, and she was put on CBS News as a editor-in-chief or something like that. Well, anyway, reportedly, according to a report by the New York Post, she is seeking to recruit Scott Jennings from CNN to take him over to the CBS Evening News. According to a report from Semaphore, Weiss and Jennings met last week at CBS headquarters in New York to discuss a potential move. The reported outreach comes at a time of major transition for CBS News, which is undergoing staff changes, preparing for new editorial direction under Weiss. The New York Post reported Monday that John Dickerson, co-anchor of the CBS Evening News, will be leaving the network at the end of the year. Dickerson will continue anchoring alongside Maurice Dubois until his departure as CBS braces for a round of layoffs affecting the news division. Now, Jennings, who was a former special assistant to President George W. Bush and a longtime advisor to Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, has become a prominent conservative voice on CNN. He's known for his unapologetic defense of President Donald Trump during panel discussions, He has built a loyal following among right-leaning viewers who are frustrated by CNN's coverage. And in fact, just today, I heard Mark Levin essentially say that the only reason to watch CNN is to watch Scott Jennings. I agree. Anyway, as a contributor rather than a full-time employee, Jennings is free to explore opportunities with other outlets, and it looks like he might be trying to explore another outlet. Now, a source familiar with the situation told Semaphore that the meeting with Weiss was informal. CNN, of course, declined to comment. And a request for comments sent to Jennings and CBS News were not immediately returned. Interest in Jennings appears to be growing beyond television. Earlier this year, the Los Angeles Times owner reportedly contacted Jennings about joining his LAT Next media venture. So Jennings is being shopped and recruited. This is, you know what? If it happens, it's a great thing. That's all I'm going to say. If it happens, it's a fantastic thing because, I mean, let's face it, Scott Jennings is a incredible person for this. So, yeah. Anyway. Her mandate, or Weiss's mandate from the network's leadership, meaning CBS Network's leadership, is to make CBS coverage more balanced and fact-based, according to internal sources. So obviously they are attempting to try and get back to being the news. And that's what they need to be, is just the news. Until you get rid of the vast majority of leftist lunatics who try to report their opinions as news, you're not going to get it anywhere else. All right, let's take a quick break here for just a second, and let's talk for a moment about Augusta Gold. Augusta Precious Metals, I should say. Did you know the biggest threat to your retirement is not something that's talked about often? And the reason for that, or what's not... Let me start this again. Did you know the biggest threat to your retirement is not something that's talked about often? Our increased longevity in America means that default retirement accounts like IRAs, 401ks, and TSPs may not suffice. If you have over $100,000 in your retirement account, get instant access to a free 2-minute report from Augusta Precious Metals that reveals the one step that you can take to secure your financial future. Text SAFE to the number 35052 today to get that free instant access to that 2-minute report from Augusta Precious Metals. Once again, text SAFE, S-A-F-E, to the number 35052 to get instant access to that free 2-minute report from Augusta Precious Metals that reveals the one singular step that you can take to secure your financial future. Once again, text SAFE, S-A-F-E, to the number 35052 today. All right. Well, the House Oversight Committee has listed their final report. They published a final report on its investigation into the Biden administration's use of the auto pen. And their conclusion, no real surprise, was that at least some of the president's orders are actually invalid and are calling on the Justice Department to investigate this. So earlier this year, as those of us who are in the know, like all of my Whiskey Warrior P1s, listen to this program, the House Oversight Committee launched a probe into President Biden's use of the auto pen. Well, let's be honest, it's not President Biden's use of the auto pen. It was the administration's use of the auto pen, with Biden being non compos mentis. But I digress. Anyway, his alleged use of an auto pen to sign pardons and other presidential orders during his waning days in office. Now, you'll recall I went through a pretty extensive historical look at the auto pen, and that the auto pen was actually utilized even all the way back to Thomas Jefferson, who had the early precursor to the auto pen. But even Jefferson only used the auto pen for personal correspondence. He didn't actually use it for anything that was important, because even Thomas Jefferson knew that an authentic signature is the only real way to ensure that the person who is signing knows what they're signing, has been able to sign. You know, I mean, they had more respect. Let's put it that way. Well, you'll also recall that I told you the very first use of the auto pen on to sign a bill into law was under Barack Obama. He did auto pen by phone. He was on a plane, and a bill got passed. And of course, if the bill gets passed, but the president doesn't sign it within a certain period of time, then it becomes null and void. So what he did was he called back to the Oval Office and said, hey, why don't you just use the auto pen? Because, I mean, that's basically my signature. So anyway. So after 3 months of investigations that included interviews with President Biden's senior aides, the panel's chairman, who is Representative James Comer from Kentucky, came to suspect that what he and his colleagues had uncovered could be used as evidence to overturn some of those executive actions, because those senior staff failed to prove the president knew what he was signing. Now, I can almost guarantee you this is going to go in front of the Supreme Court. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but I can almost guarantee you under the Trump administration, it will hit the Supreme Court. And the reason being, and I think a lot of people need to understand this, but the reason being is because there is no constitutional mention of an auto pen anywhere. There is no constitutional mention of using a facsimile of the president's signature on important documents. This is going to be a very interesting scenario should it go in front of the Supreme Court, and I honestly think it will. And I think the intelligent answer out of all of this is no, the auto pen does not substitute the president's signature on important documents such as pardons, bills, signing bills, things of that nature. So, all of that said, okay, Comer says his committee's final report proves that many of Biden's auto pen's orders were, in fact, invalid. James Comer said in a statement, the Biden auto pen presidency will go down as one of the biggest political scandals in U.S. history. As Americans saw President Biden's decline with their own eyes, Biden's inner circle sought to deceive the public, cover up his decline, and took unauthorized executive actions with the auto pen that are now invalid. Executive actions performed by Biden White House staff and signed by auto pen are null and void. We are calling on the U.S. Department of Justice to conduct a thorough review of these executive actions and scrutinize key Biden aides who took the fifth to hide their participation in the cover-up. We have provided Americans with transparency about the Biden auto pen presidency, and now there must be accountability. Now, here's the thing, okay, is that again, I honestly don't know if there even is some sort of a constitutional type of scenario here. Now, all of the president's executive orders, those can be overturned by the follow-up president. Okay? So that scenario is very clear. Trump can come in, which he did, and overturn many of Biden's executive orders, if not all of them. But the question becomes, for those pardons. Now, keep in mind, the only pardon that Biden signed of his own hand, was the one for his son. Fauci, the January 6th committee members, all of the criminals that got released early and had their sentences commuted, and all of these other things that were done in the hasty retreat of the Biden administration after the election was completed and before January 20th, all of those things were signed by AutoPen. The only exception was Hunter Biden's pardon, which even that I would say is kind of in question because, let's be honest, there's never been a pardon that has basically just said, hey, we're just going to pardon everything that you've done in this decade, which is essentially what happened. And the fact that it was actually even pardonable for one of his family members, which has never been done before either. Either one of those is historic. Now, I'm basically saying that the pardon should be a little more specific and not just a blanket pardon like what he did. But I will also concede the fact that the court system has upheld that the president's pardon power is extremely wide and broad. So that one, I mean, even if it goes, I honestly, I don't think that would be necessarily overturned. But yeah, everything else, man, if it was signed by an AutoPen, it absolutely should be overturned immediately. So Comer and his oversight committee conducted 14 depositions and transcribed interviews. And the former president's personal physician and First Lady Jill Biden's chief of staff each invoked the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. I wonder why. Not saying that that means that they're guilty of anything, but yeah. Anyway, the investigation turned up alarming deficiencies in documentation and chain of custody for key presidential decisions. You'll recall the aides were told by people who were in meetings with Joe Biden, not by Joe Biden himself, but in meetings held by Joe Biden, supposedly, probably run by Hunter Biden, because we know that Hunter Biden was a key, toward the end, was a key person in a lot of things that happened within the government. So, again, I mean, all of that just means that there is a high likelihood that this would get overturned. Speaking of being overturned, and this one, you should listen to me. So, I don't know if anybody, I'm not patting myself on the back here, folks, but let's just be honest here. I mean, I'm pretty good at what I do with this show. So here's the thing. Nearly half of the state attorneys general filed what's known as an amicus brief to SCOTUS in order to encourage them to not only take up the case about ending birthright citizenship, but also to actually end birthright citizenship. Now, I've been telling you ever since this executive order came out, and even when we were talking about it prior to this, when Trump was running, the 14th Amendment was not, under any circumstances, historically speaking or anything else, was not designed to give birthright citizenship to anybody who happens to be on our soil and drops a kid. Automatically giving that kid the citizenship of the American citizen. Historically speaking, birthright citizenship has basically been that, yes, you do have to have been born from American citizen parents, at least one, okay? At least one has to be an American citizen, whether it's naturalized or by birthright, by their own parents giving them birthright citizenship. But it even goes one step farther than that, and that means that you have to have no other allegiances or ties to any other country, meaning that if you are from foreign-born parents, you automatically have an allegiance or a tie to somebody or some other entity other than the United States. This kind of concept has persisted throughout history since the United States was even created and born. Now, you'll notice that when the Constitution was created, they recognized natural-born citizens, which again, there's no definition of natural-born, but they obviously had, the founding fathers who created the Constitution obviously had a definition of what natural born meant, because you can't be president if you're a naturalized citizen. If you were born elsewhere and brought here, you can't be president. You have to be a natural born citizen. So there obviously was, at least in the founders' minds, as they were going through and figuring all this stuff out, there had to be some type of a differentiating factor other than just being born on the soil. You can carry that even farther. Like, for an example, the Native Americans, the American Indians who lived here, were not considered American citizens. Okay? They were not considered American citizens. In fact, it wasn't until, I believe, 1924 or something along those lines when they were adopted into the country as American citizens. Okay? And so this whole idea that all you have to do, regardless of parentage, all you have to do is to be born on American territory, has never presented itself in all of history. Now, I have told you multiple times that when you look at the 14th Amendment, which is what they're calling out here, there is a specificity that, yes, you have to have been born and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. There is a reason why that was there, and the framer or the writer of the 14th Amendment in the Senate clearly stated this does not apply to foreigners, aliens, ambassadors, so on and so forth. The idea of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments were to ensure that the Dred Scott decision, which was an abhorrent decision by the Supreme Court, was taken care of via legislation and taken care of as an attachment to the Constitution. Okay? Now, all of that is just the tip of the iceberg. Because if you get the amicus brief that was filed by those 24 state attorneys general, and I'm showing it to you, I've got the link in the show notes, you should pull it down. Now, it's 37 pages, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, 37 pages. But let me tell you, the way that this is written, it's not 37 pages. It's probably more like 15. But let me explain something to you. If you read through this, they very carefully, succinctly, and accurately go through the entire arguments against the idea of what they call jus soli, which is, and I'm probably mincemeating the Latin here, which basically means born on the soil or of the soil, versus the principle that we know throughout history has been carried on, that there is something more than just being born on our soil that needs to be a part of this citizenship idea. This right here, I'm telling you, I downloaded it. I'm hanging on to it because this is a exemplary explanation of everything that is going on into this whole birthright citizenship. They even go through the one singular case that is always referenced by people who believe that just because you're born on this soil, you should automatically get citizenship. They even go through that one, which that's the Wong Kim Ark decision. And they clearly explain, as I've done on this program, that the Wong Kim Ark decision only applies if you have special residency status from your parents and then are born here, meaning that the parents had special dispensation as permanent residents of the United States, and that individual, Wong Kim Ark, was born as a part of that. Then he inherited United States citizenship at that time because the courts recognized that being here, being a part, making America your permanent domicile is a previous or a overarching requirement in order to become an American citizen. There has to be more than just being born here. You have to have allegiances to the country and allegiances to nobody else. Your parents have to have allegiances to the American country. Okay? And this is the point. And this is the point. There are 24 states. This is almost half of the country has agreed with the executive order. And these AGs have all walked through and explained the entire case. I encourage you all to read it. You need to download it. And you really need to read this in order to understand that just being born within our borders is not the only requirement. Is not the only requirement. Now, I was surprised when I went through this. There were a couple of points, historical points, and so on and so forth, where it's in the Coco. It's in the show notes. Just look under the show notes in the description of the video. You'll see it. Anyway, it is very well written, and it pulls up several points, several key cases where those principles have been applied as well. And so it's just, I'm telling you, that SCOTUS should take this up. SCOTUS should basically say that the EO is correct. Now, the question is going to be, what does that do to all of those people who have come here and have been, come here illegally, not legally, but illegally, and had, even, by the way, too, just keep in mind, this same thing also talks about how even if you came here legally, that until you naturalize, you can't have a kid that is an American citizen. They even point that out. They also point out that just because you've come here and were granted asylum, that also does not mean that your children can be an American citizen. That you yourself, meaning the parents, have to apply for naturalization and or permanent residency and or some other permanent status here in the United States in order for this. I'm telling you, this is like the most comprehensive that I have ever seen in terms of how to explain away. But of course, the leftists, they don't read any of this. I mean, just look at all these cases that are listed here. There's all these cases that go over this stuff that they reference in this document, and it go all the way down. I mean, look at that. That's 3 pages worth. Here's the top of the 4th. They put in the constitutional provisions. They talk about statutes and legislative materials. And, of course, they bring up the Congressional Globe, which is a part of the entire back and forth, the debates within Congress in the ratification of the 14th Amendment. I'm telling you, if the justices rule the way they should rule, it's probably going to end up being a 6-3 decision. But they should have a 6-3 decision. And this idea of people just coming here just to have their kids become American citizens, that's no more. It shouldn't have even been a part of the thought process. That was, and they even mentioned that in here, that it wasn't until recent applications of the law, meaning executives like Obama, that even executives like Obama have gotten it wrong. And that doesn't mean that the SCOTUS shouldn't go back and fix it. So trust me, this is in my case, this just lays out the entire thing right in front. I mean, SCOTUS could rule based off of this amicus brief. Seriously. So there you go. All right. In the last couple of minutes here, it looks like Hamas going to the international desk. It looks like Hamas has broken the ceasefire. They shot at IDF soldiers in Rafah. And so now, of course, the Israeli Prime Minister ordered immediate and powerful strikes in the Gaza Strip on Tuesday. Folks, let's just put it this way. These guys, I'm just going to tell you, there will be no peace between the Hamas and Israel. Hamas needs to just be destroyed. Wiped off the map. Hezbollah, same thing. These people they're not going to join in any kind of peace. They're not going to have any kind of a ceasefire. They're not going to have any sort of, break or whatever. These people, we need to come to the realization that there are groups of people on this planet that have absolutely no desire for any kind of peace and harmony anywhere. They have zero desire. And so what they're going to do is they're going to keep coming back. They might get beat and lick their wounds, but they want to survive. And so that's part of the reason why they agreed with this ceasefire. But they aren't doing it because they actually want peace. I mean, how much more do you have to know other than the Gaza Strip was handed over to the Palestinians by Israel? They were going to take that. Israel tried to just say, look, hey, Egypt, you guys take it over. You guys take it from us. Egypt didn't want it. Egypt didn't want it. None of the Arab countries want Palestinians, and there's a good reason for it. None of the Arab countries wanted to help the Palestinians when there were Palestinian refugees attempting to get out of Gaza. They didn't want it. They didn't want to help them because they know the Palestinians are, for the most part, not all of them, but for the most part, the Palestinians are after one thing and one thing only, and that is to destroy Israel. That's all they want. And what a lot of people also don't understand is that if Gaza was going to become this wonderful thing, then they would have done it. In 2006, when Israel just basically gave up Gaza and said, look, we're just going to put a fence around it and we're just walking away. Yeah, that ended in 2023, October 7th. And also, there wasn't like it all of a sudden happened. I mean, let's be honest here. Hamas was lobbing bombs and rockets and all kinds of stuff over to Israel for all of this time, okay, between 2006 and present. But, again, Hamas is not interested in peace. They're not interested in coexisting. They're not interested in a two-state solution. They're not interested in any of this. Yeah. So, yeah. By the way, because of that move, Hamas did respond by saying that it will delay the handover of a hostage body, according to the AP. So, yeah. So, there you go. This is, once again, this is going to be the way of it. They're not going to have peace in the Middle East over this. They just aren't. All right, I don't know if anybody caught this. At least this bit of I don't know what happened here. Damn it. What the hell is going on here? Okay, so I am back again. I don't know what the heck's happening here, but all right. So this last little bit of thing. Yeah, and it's, I don't know what's going on. I keep bouncing for some reason, but anyway, all right. So here I am. So here, this trans teen apparently was going to plan, or was in the planning of, a massacre at an Indiana school. She built the shrine to the Parkland shooter. She's 18. She claims that she's a boy, by the way. She's a trans-identified female. And she agreed to plead guilty to plotting a mass shooting at a local high school. Yeah. She, the Parkland shooter, who I'm not going to say, anyway, she's pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit murder, according to the Morgan County Prosecutor's Office. The plea deal calls for up to 12 and a half years in prison, followed by 5 years of probation. The plea agreement was filed on October 24th. So, yeah. Something is wrong, folks, with these folks. Something is wrong. It's actually the opposite way. It's a girl who wanted to be a boy. Trinity is her first name. Jamie is what she wanted to be called. So, anyway, yeah. Something's going on here. We need to, like, dig into this. We need to figure out what the hell's going on with these kinds of people. So, there you go. I don't know. Anyway, all right, folks, that's it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. Also, too, don't forget to hit those thumbs up or thumbs downs across all my platforms, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, or, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. We'll see you tomorrow night for Whiskey Wednesday. By the way, I do not have a pet of the week, so if you have one, you need to get it in so that I can feature it tomorrow. But Whiskey Wednesday is tomorrow night. We will see you tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Good night, everybody, and have a great rest of your evening. Oh, here we go. All right, good night.